Hey everyone, welcome to All Techies. I'm Pankaj Rai, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how you can use Cloud Firestore with Jetpack Compose. If you are new to Cloud Firestore, then Cloud Firestore is a flexible and scalable database for mobile, web, and server development from Firebase and GCP. Just like Firebase real-time database, it keeps your data in sync across the connected devices, which means that say if any of the device, maybe Android device, is updating the content, then it gets reflected to the iOS, Android, or the web applications which are connected with the real-time database, which is nothing but the Cloud Firestore here. This is really a good example if you want to create a chat kind of application, because with chat application you don't want to press a refresh button to load the content. Rather, it should get available as soon as the content is available at the server side. So let's see how we can make this kind of application where I have a list of images and the title written on top with Cloud Firestore. But one thing is that Cloud Firestore doesn't support multimedia. So all these images are stored in the cloud storage, and as soon as you upload this to the cloud storage, it gives you the URL. You just need to paste that URL to the Cloud Firestore so that by using some image loading library, you can load these images. Now let's see how to build this application. Switch to Gradle and add the dependency for Firebase and the image loading library. I'm using Coil Image by Chris, which is one of the good library to load the images in real time, and another is the kotfirebase. So the kotfirebase is a library which I have built, which is nothing but a wrapper over the existing Firebase libraries. It offers you to use Cloud Firestore storage, and then even remote config and analytics. So it supports all four of them. So I strongly recommend that if you are using this library, then do not forget to enable ProGuard and Minify enable it so that it will chunk out all the unused libraries. Now, why do I'm using this library? So if you see about the existing Firebase library, then it's based on the callback mechanism. For example, if you want to read from, say, collection or a document, you pass the collection ID or the document ID, and then you set the listeners associated with it. Like you can say add success listener, failure listener, complete listener, or add snapshot listener, and then based on the listener, you show the content on screen. But when we talk about the Jetpack Compose, it really works well if you have the content with live data support. And kotfirebase does that. The overall objective of kotfirebase is to reduce all those APIs to single line of code. It in turn returns you the live data, and we'll see this today. Okay, now let's start with our project. So here in the scenery list, we are doing all our work. So as I said at kotfirebase, the overall objective of this library is to bring down all the APIs to single line of code, no callback mechanism. So here is what it is doing. kotfirebase.get from collection into scenery, and then give the collection ID. Because I'm reading from collection, so I'm giving collection ID. There are other methods also available like get from document ID, and it's all based on your need. You could use all those methods, but for me, I need to get a list of all documents inside the collection, and that collection is nothing but the scenery here. And one thing is that I need to pass the model also. So as soon as I do like get from collection into scenery, it will automatically form a model for me and will give me the live data for the list of sceneries. To observe this live data, we can use observe as state. Also, because this supports querying mechanism, so if you want to say like an order by, like here I'm using order by name, I want this to be in the descending order. As you can see it here, W is first, then M, then again M, next is L, then F. So they are in the reverse alphabetical order. So those things you can pass it on. But if you do not want, order by, then just skip passing this query parameter, and you can directly call like observe as state. This is completely supported. But here for me, I need this because I want to show this from the reverse order. So I'm adding like name and in the descending order. And about this model, so one thing to remember with Firebase is that it requires an empty constructor. So you may be creating the data classes, but do not forget to add an empty constructor. And the way to create an empty constructor is this way, where you can create an empty constructor and then pass it to the super, because it requires two parameters, image and name, and you need to pass some default value. So here I'm passing the empty values. This is really important, otherwise this is not going to work with this API get from collection into scenery. And it's all because with the Firebase we are calling two object method here, and two object requires this model to have an empty constructor. Now let's see about after this. We have an observe as state, so this is going to give me the object, the list of sceneries. And now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a lazy column for. Inside this lazy column for, I'm passing this list, and because I want this in the card, so I'm using card, which is having a stack of image, and on top of that image is having a text. If the contents are not available, then it will show loading, please wait. So initially when you call this composable, because this will not have the content, so it will have a null value. So as it's having null, you could show something like loading, please wait, or something, whichever you want it here. And once the content is available, then you could show the original content, whatever you want to show on screen. So that's it for this video, where I've shown you how you could take an advantage of using the library kotfirebase with Jetpack Compose, because it's having an ability to return live data of object. However, there's one interesting thing. With this API, what I'm saying is that this is the collection ID and sync with the real time. Because it is Jetpack Compose and it's a composable, which means that when I'm observing this as a state, and as the state changes, it should recompose itself. Which means that if I change anything here, then this method, this composable, will recompose itself to update the content on screen. And because it's syncing in real time, so let me do one thing. Let me switch to the console, and let me do one thing, that instead of mountain snow, let me make it like a snow. And that's it, you could see it here. So from mountain snow, it became snow. Okay, let me revert it back to mountain snow. And not just this, even if I want to change the image, I do not want this image, I want some other image, then what I could do is like just change the URL, and as soon as the URL gets updated, you could see that image also got updated in real time. This is all happening because of this parameter, sync in real time. However, if you do not want this capability, then just make it false, or just do not pass it even, because the default value is false. So that's it in this video. I hope this might be interesting for you to know how you could use Cloud Firestore with Jetpack Compose. If you have liked this video, then hit the like button and do not forget to subscribe the channel. Thank you and stay tuned.